In this video, I'm going to go over the new scientific way that men everywhere are fixing their metabolism using more carbohydrates. And I'm going to be using an actual case study, a live case study from my client John here, who went from 2140 calories to 3400 calories and lost 10 pounds. So this is a 1,000 calorie increase. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. I'm going to go down not only how to get your starting macros to do this properly, but step by step how we actually change his macros weekly to actually improve his metabolism, lose body fat, eating more food. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bundle. I'm an online fat loss professional, and I specialize in metabolic health and metabolic priming. And so I use a process of metabolic manipulation called metabolic priming, and I've worked with over 200 men in 7 different countries just in the last 6 months alone, getting them to elite level body compositions. There's over 50 different client case studies on my YouTube channel as of right now, and the purpose of these videos is to help each and every single one of you, the viewers, the subscribers, out on your own fitness journey. So if you haven't subscribed to my page by now, now's a good time to do it, because we're going to actually cover a ton of sauce here today in this video. So this is my client, John. John joined us not too long ago, and I actually have the information when he first signed up when we did his first initial consultation. He's a healthcare and ER manager, wants to lose body fat, obviously, nutrition's clueless, and then right around 2,000 calories, 175 grams of protein, 4 to 5 weekdays in the gym, and has a knee and shoulder injury. And so we put all of this into context when we are creating our clients' plans, like overall knee injuries, and making sure that we are improving any type of injury involving ligaments, joints, shoulders, or whatever it may be. And that's a really big point to what we bring up and what we do from a customization perspective when we get into overall training, because with the overall training, it's all customized. We have guys who travel all the time. We have guys who, are on their feet, multiple times during the week. And so we have to customize a lot of different ways to actually hit our training goals, like 3 to 5 days a week. But I digress. I want to actually explain how we actually made this happen, because here's the thing, is that John has been doing no cardio. None. Hasn't been doing any cardio in these side-by-sides. He hasn't even started his cut yet. He's simply up 1,000 calories, right? And so I want to actually show you how this is done. He's actually currently eating 425 grams of carbohydrates per day. So here's how we got his starting macros. So we saw that his weight was 175, right? And so with his weight, we usually do 1 to 1.2 times your body weight in overall protein. So John being 175 times 1.2 equals 210. We actually started this at around like 200, right? Because here's the logic behind it. You can always start lower and work up, but it's hard to start higher and work low, especially when you're trying to prime your metabolism. So like it's more beneficial for us to start a little bit lower and work a little bit higher. So next is we did 175 times 0.3, which is 53 grams of fat. We end up starting with 60 grams because, when it does come to men in general, like 50 grams is relatively on the lower side. I think the lowest we get men in overall fat intake is like 45. So notice how like that's pretty damn close to 45. So we end up actually rounding up to 60 because we need those fats in his plan. The fats are actually correlated to a lot of hormone health within your overall thyroid, like T3, T4, metabolism, thyroid, testosterone. And so fat intake is very hormonally related, right? So we want to really nail the fat goal. If we undershoot on the fat goal, we could come to complications with overall health, but it's better to start the fat a little bit higher so we can get a good hormonal health. So we ended up starting with 60 grams of fat. And so to get his carbohydrates, he's currently was starting right around 2,000 calories, around 2,000, 2,100 calories. So we actually wanted to start him a little bit higher, right? So let's think about this logically. Let's think about this in a concept like, let's say he comes to us and he said he wants to get lean, which all of our clients do. Well, the normal conception when people are trying to get lean is that you have to eat less and do more, right? But it doesn't come into context with overall how your metabolism is. Is your metabolism optimized? Is your digestion optimized? Is all these certain things into context? Because like the way this channel is structured and the way I try to teach you guys, it's not always about doing more and eating less, right? And so like, yes, we wanted to start him off at 2,100 calories. We wanted to start him off similarly to where he was already at calorically wise, but we wanted to get him up first before we brought him back down. And so I know there's a lot of guys on my channel who I think like, well, if you raise food, isn't like technically a bulk? No, not really. Really what we try to do is hyper focus on optimizing hormones, optimizing metabolism, and letting the body do its job of burning calories properly, right? So like if John was to come to us and we were to go into a normal deficit like most trainers or like most online coaches, we'd have to go to 2000, 1900, 1800, 1700, 1600, and at that point, it's not sustainable. Anything under 2,000 calories is not sustainable. A lot of guys who watch my channel who tried the low-carb diets, the keto diets, the carnivore, you understand that it's not very sustainable trying to keep your calories under 2,000. But what we actually do is we prime your metabolism, we fix your metabolism, we optimize it as well. So I know a lot of guys, typically the guys we work with, honestly, are typically 35 to 65 years old. That's kind of the clientele that we do work with. And I know there's a conception amongst these men that's like, oh, over time my metabolism has started to fail, right? It started to drown out a little bit, or it's starting to lower. And simply scientifically, that's just not true, right? Your metabolism doesn't lower with age. They did a study in the National Institute of Health that on a 90-year-old aged man, and his metabolism only had degraded, I think, 15 to 20%, right? So your metabolism doesn't degrade over time. But logically, let's think about what's happened in the last 10 to 15 years as a society that's gotten us to the point where people think their metabolisms are lower. Well, let's think about it, right? Food industry is probably worst it's ever been, right? It has all this saturated fats that don't really digest or have any nutritional value that lead to a lot of visceral fat gain. We have highly processed carbohydrates in all the food that we eat. And then even thinking about like transportation mechanisms like Uber, like cars. We can, order our groceries now. And so like people are getting less active. People are getting more sedentary, and they're eating more calories, right? So your metabolism hasn't drowned out yet. You just haven't put into context how many calories you're eating and how sedentary you actually are. So like this is the type of stuff we teach our clients to be very aware of, because all of our clients are, fathers, husbands, and this is important information to know as society starts to go on about how your body works and how the food industry is currently standard, because these are information that we are obligated to know, and it's your duty as a man to know, because we can't expect the food industry to get better. We can't expect transportation to not exceedingly get easier to use. So we have to be very straightforward. We have to be very prevalent about the education around nutrition for the importance of your health, for the importance of your kids that they're getting brought up, and for the importance of your overall just family in general, being able to teach nutritional concepts to your family so everybody can stay healthy. Because it's your duty as a man to protect your family. And if you're not protecting your family from the most detrimental process going on in human history right now, which is the food industry, then you're simply failing, right? And so this is the type of stuff that we teach our clients, that how your body works, what nutrition you need, micronutrients that are good for cholesterol levels, how to reduce all-cause rate mortality, how to reduce diabetes, and all these certain things that do underline with overall nutrition. Because the average man, 9 out of 10 men, do not have any nutritional aspect, do not have any nutritional education. And if you're learning this right now, you are at an all-time risk for all-cause rate mortality and all these certain health factors as well. So it's really important to know why we teach our clients this. But we did start with 2,100 calories. How do we get our carb goal? So it's very simple. So we take the actual calories from our protein, which is 175. There's 4 calories per gram in every single gram of protein, plus 60 grams of fat times 9, which there's 9 calories per gram in every gram of fat. Then we get 860 calories, right? So, what we get is how we get 860 calories is that basically we take the sum of the 175 times 4 plus 60 times 9, and then we subtract it from the starting calories. And that's why we got 860 calories, right? So the sum of these two minus 2,100 calories, you'll get your calories from carbohydrates, and then carbohydrates have a 4 calorie per gram. So that's why we got 200 grams of carbohydrates to start off with. So getting into the week by week on how we made this happen for John. So this is where he checked in on day 175. We can tell just by his check-ins right here. Notice how inflamed his gut region is, and just how really we needed to optimize digestion. I knew the first possible case in point, because where I see a lot of men go wrong is the overconsumption of fat intake, right? And so what we use is a process called carbohydrate metabolism, right? Which is making sure that we position your body to properly intake carbohydrates and utilize carbohydrates as a main fuel source. All of our clients, when they get their blood panels done, they'll notice that their glucose levels actually start to improve greatly by us transitioning their body into more of a carbohydrate metabolism state. So lowering the fat for John, we're able to improve a lot of digestion, get digestion very clear and smooth running, right? And so that's the first thing we needed to do. And so from the time that he started, from the actual first check-in that he had, just notice how much he already started to lean out, right? Notice his side-by-sides, how his side shots started to improve just within the course of, what, a couple of days, maybe 2 weeks? Yeah, February 1st to 25th. Yeah, a little bit over 2 weeks. And like, the thing is, guys, is that like John doesn't just check in on these days. He checks in every single week, right? We don't make changes until changes are necessary, right? So what you're seeing in between these 2 days are check-ins that we didn't necessarily change any macronutrients. I'm only showing you, for the purpose of time on these YouTube channels, the actual changes that we did make. So keep that in context. Our clients check in every single week with their body weight, their body composition, their energy levels, their fatigue, their strength progression, how hungry they are. And so we make correlated data decisions based upon those key performance metrics, right? So like we can already see that he lost, yes, 4 pounds when he just got the correct macronutrients, but more importantly, his body reacted very, very well, right? Because if you guys are watching my channel by now, you know that I am a very big advocate and I preach a lot about like fat loss versus weight loss, right? Our clients want to get to elite level body composition. They don't want to lose weight. They want to lose body fat. If you're losing weight, you're losing muscle tissue. If you're losing muscle tissue, you're decreasing your metabolism. You're decreasing your testosterone levels. So we try to keep as much muscle tissue as possible, just because of overall health reasons as you get older, bone density. But it's super, super important to note that what we are doing for our clients is fat loss, not weight loss. There is a big, big difference. The National Institute of Health, they did a study that said it is more detrimental and more physically irresponsible to lose muscle tissue than it is to lose body fat. It is quite literally more unhealthy to lose muscle tissue than it is to lose body fat. So think about that cognitively when you're thinking about hormone levels, your metabolism, and where most men go wrong with these super big deficits that just leave you stuck and bounce right back, right? We're looking for overall fat loss. We're looking for muscle perseverance. We're looking for metabolic presence. So we, for instance, focused on your hormones and your metabolism and increasing your metabolism to be able to eat more food, making it more sustainable, right? So like in John's next check-in that we actually changed food, we don't really change food too much for John because we want his body to actually transition. We want his body to adhere to the carbohydrates, because where a lot of men go wrong is that they won't give their body time to actually transition, right? So like, for instance, the guys who do low-carb diets, they add carbohydrates back in their diet, they gain a lot of weight very quickly, and they go back to doing what they've always done with a low-carbohydrate diet, which leaves them stuck for never-ending years thinking carbs are the devil. Your body has to actually transition. You need your body to actually level out and your body to accept new glucose, right? So usually, typically, anything that you do within the body, whether it's stimulus related within your training, whether it's nutritionally adding something different, which is nutritionally or hormonally transitioning the body to a more particularly energy substrate, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for your body to fully adjust. Now, as we get your body to adjust, and I'll show you like what we did John here, it will start to get a little bit faster, and your body will start to transition a little bit quicker. But usually, typically off the bat, we have to wait till our clients actually bodies transition properly. But even in the next check-in right here, after we gave him 25 more grams of carbs right here, he actually, what did he do? He hit a new low weigh-in, and he leaned out even more. Now being up 300 calories and 50, 75 grams of fat, right? So like, in the next check-in, same thing we did, right? So we hit a new low weigh-in. He spiked up a little bit right here, but we can tell in his actual physical body composition that he actually started to lean out a little bit more. Like, check out the oblique areas right here at the bottom end of this oblique. Check out up here. So notice how even his lower stomach started to lean out a little bit. So yes, as opposed to the last check-in that he had, he was up, about 0.5 pounds. But his body composition was improving, right? And so with that being said, it's like we are good to give him more carbohydrates because his body composition is improving, because that's the most important factor that we track. None of our clients come to us and really care about their weight. I mean, yes, it is a very important metric to observe, but our clients don't care if we were to snap their fingers and get them six-pack shredded and they're the exact same weight. And most people don't. Most people correlate the weight to a physiological and social aspect of being overweight, and that they get down in weight, they'll look better. It's not always the case. We go work with clients who want an elite level body composition and want to learn how to sustain it for life, right? And that comes with understanding fat loss versus weight loss, and that the scale doesn't always mean everything, right? And so we actually gave him 25 more grams of carbohydrates this week, and then look what happens the very next check-in, right? The very, very next check-in, he hits an all-time new low at weigh-in right here. And we can see how his body composition is progressing even further. His side shots are starting to lean out even more. And then what do we do on this day? 25 more grams of carbohydrates. So, and then the next week, he had another new low weigh-in, right, at 166. Now, from 2,100 calories to 2,700 calories. And look how his body composition is progressing in this one as well. He's starting to lean out more. We're starting to see a lot more definition in the upper back region. Love handles are starting to subtract. I mean, like, check out his actual back photo right here as opposed to where it was when he first started, right? Absolutely phenomenal. Being up 600 calories, body is transitioning, back is getting a lot wider, love handles have fully depleted, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a good frame, build a good muscle tissue, and get rid of a lot of this body fat. And the same thing applies. On this check-in, we gave him 25 more grams of carbohydrates. He checked in. Yeah, he had a little bit of a high weigh-in, but he's still, from a logical concept, down for where we actually started his weight at or started his calories at. And that's what's most important, because we want to think about this phase as like preparing for the cut, right? The more calories you have under our belt, the easier the cut will be, the less refeeds you'll have to do, and the more sustainable it'll be. Not as only that, but the less hunger that you will experience during the cut. So like on this day, he checked in at 167 and looked absolutely phenomenal. Once again, love handles are almost fully depleted. But we actually added 25 more grams of carbohydrates, and we set his actual cutting start date for 13/20, right? So like actually yesterday. But anyways, with that being said, what we're actually looking for in these is like, we're looking not necessarily for his body to actually transition into his body to actually adhere, right? But we don't really necessarily care too much about his weight, because what we'll see a lot of guys that actually come to us, this is typically the kind of standard that we'll see, right? We'll start them off, we'll start priming their metabolism, they'll have a super big drop off within the first 4 weeks, and then they'll kind of stabilize out a little bit. We might go down, we might go up, but we'll stable down. But we relatively stay right here while we're actually increasing calories, right? But the importance is that we are actually increasing the amount of calories under his belt that we can later use for his cutting phase, right? And so the same thing kind of applied with John. You saw a big drop off, a super big low weigh-in, a little bit up, and like from this time right here, he kind of like leveled out a little bit in overall weight. But that's not what we're looking for, right? Because we were actually adding more calories. Because the goal for each one of our clients, and this is a rule of thumb too, if you want to write this down, is that our goal is to get each one of our clients between 350 to 400 grams of carbs under their belt before we start the cutting phase. This will allow us less refeeds, you'll be able to mitigate more hunger. It'll be easier to cut weight. But if we're able to get you to 400 grams of carbohydrates, and you're already down 10 to 20 pounds, and then we start lowering food, that's when it really, really starts to get good, right? And so even on this date right here, we added 25 more grams of carbohydrates, right? What happened the next week? He actually hit another new low weigh-in after giving 25 more grams of carbohydrates. So now he's officially down 10 pounds, eating 900 more calories per day. Look at his body composition. Look at his side shot. Look at his abs starting to really become super defined. Even just within these last couple days, this week, his body really kicked it into gear. His back is looking, more structured than ever. And you got to remember, like, John's 50 years old, right? John is 50 years old. He's not a 20-year-old guy, right? And like a lot of guys think they can't get back into shape like they were in their 20s, but like all of my clients look like this. I work with primarily men 35 to 65 years old, and all of them are looking better than they are in their 20s. It's because we do it right. We use the actual scientific process. We use actual data correlations and structuring everything correctly. And then even on this date, what do? 25 more grams of carbohydrates, right? Right on this date, 25 more grams of carbohydrates at 166. Look at his body composition. Look at his obliques coming in. And then we haven't even started the cut yet, right? And in the next week, right? Same things. Cut starts next week. This is what he checked in on the 13th. And then yesterday, John actually started his cut as of yesterday with 3,000 calories, down 10 pounds, and looking like this, right? So he is eating 425 grams of carbs a day. And this is the transformation right here, side by side. 425 grams of carbs per day. And like you can see right here, his actual macros. This is his current macros. I actually screenshotted that from his profile this morning. 3,000 calories, 200 grams of protein, 425 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat. So notice how we did not, over the whole course of the metabolic priming phase, did not change his fat, and we did not change his protein. The only thing that we changed was his carbohydrates. But we waited for his body each week to adjust and to accept the carbohydrates. And so this is what you get, from 200 grams of carbohydrates to 425 grams of carbohydrates. This is 225 grams of carbohydrate difference. 225 grams. 1,000 calorie more than where he started, right? So keep that in context. Because now, John is about to go into an actual cutting phase. We're going to start to implement a little bit of cardio. We'll bring the calories down a little bit. And this is why John, right here, is going to get literally absolutely shredded with us. But these are the type of men we work with. If you were to look at John's days of eating, you could see that he hits all of his macros right on point, that he, hits all of his workouts, but he also leans on us to be able to manage it, right? He leans on us for travel. If he needs a travel split, he sends us a message and we can implement it. If he needs options for food while he's on the run, he's on the go to work, we implement him, right? So he leans on us, and this is where you get the transformations like this. And I have thousands of people that, watch my channel are wondering how it's done, and this is exactly how it's done. I lay it out for you step by step by step. And this isn't just the only transformation that we have from a guy like John. We have guys that are currently down 100 pounds using this strategy. We have multiple guys that are down 100 pounds using this strategy. We have men who are 50 years old looking like this. Men who are 35 looking like this. We have many guys that we use this exact same process with over and over and over again. And it's a repeatable process that we use from a more scientific perspective, which each and every single one of our clients. This is my client, Doug. He's a firefighter, right? He's a chief firefighter. And this is after 20 years of constant cortisol. This is what we've done with his body using this metabolic priming process. So if you like these type of videos, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Like I said, the purpose of these channels is to give you guys all the information to make progress in your own fitness journey. I try to give you guys all the sauce because you guys have been crushing it with the views lately, and you've been commenting and also liking all the videos. And so I do appreciate everybody who does show support. And so if you're listening to this right now and you don't subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel because this is where the sauce is. And make sure to shoot me a comment in there too to help the algorithm out, because we're trying to help as many men out there as possible get to elite level body composition. So like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I have a new video coming out on Wednesday and Friday, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, every single week. So make sure to follow along, follow the channel, and let me know, guys, know what you want to hear more about, because I'm just going to give you everything that I've ever learned to you guys on this channel, as long as you guys keep supporting the channel and keep doing your thing.